All right, we are recording. Welcome to Spinistry Live again. We're going to try to do this as a podcast. We haven't done one in a while. Hopefully, we're going to get back in the habit and doing those on a more regular basis. Today, we're going to be talking with Mr. Rich Waldschmidt. He joined me on a trip to Colorado to nail down some details for our Mule train gravel adventure ride out of Trinidad. And things went so successful with that trip, at least from my perspective, that we ended up with some bonus time and were able to scoot on up to the Salida area and scout a little bit of our August event as well. I'm sure you're probably hearing a little bit of background noise. I'll just let you know we're on our drive back a little bit west of Amarillo right now. We just left the fantastic rat town of Vega, Texas, one of the highlights of the Rat 1000. Welcome, Rich. Thanks for joining me on this trip.
It's been a lot of fun.
So tell me this. Did the area meet your expectations, or do you have experience up in Colorado?
It exceeded them, really. The roads we drove around the Trinidad area for the Trinidad event were really, really nice. Very well maintained, super smooth. Looked like they'd be fast on a bicycle.
We spent some time around the state park, which we were going to be using for the staging area. What were your impressions of the Trinidad Lake State Park?
Hey, that was pretty good. Actually, I kind of liked that trail, the bike trail, hiking trail that we checked out.
The South Shore Trail.
South Shore Trail around the lake. Pretty spectacular view. If we start out going that direction, that'll be pretty motivational to get people going. And then getting down into Long Canyon was very, very pretty exciting. So that was very nice.
Okay. And just to give folks kind of just the 30,000 foot overview of kind of the structure around Trinidad Lake State Park and how things are going to work there. Right now, we have a pavilion in the main camping area on the north side of the lake set up as our staging area for Saturday morning. And the idea will be to roll out of there as a group, go around Trinidad Lake on the east end, and then go around to the South Shore camping area. And just a little ways into that South Shore camping area, you can access an old rail bed that's been turned into a trailway that they call the South Shore Trail. But right at that point, it's a really, really sweet overview of the lake itself, and then going off into the mountain ranges. It was a really neat view, but I thought it was a pretty good way to start out a ride because you get a couple miles of flat pedaling down that South Shore Trail before you start hitting any of the classic Colorado stuff.
Yeah, plus, once you get into the ride, just like every other ride, once you get into the ride, you're in amongst the trees. You're not going to have as many broad vistas of the peaks as we have at that very first beginning. I thought that was pretty nice.
Not a bad way to kick things off. So the way the route starts out, I think that's not even. Was it 2.5 miles? Is that what they said the distance of that?
I think they said 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles on that South Shore Trail, and then there's a hard left turn, and you go into Long's Canyon, which is a different entrance into the park. And the Long's Canyon trailway is more of a hiking trail. It's double track, so it's probably state vehicles, maintenance vehicles that go in and out of there on a semi-regular basis. But it's not a very high use area, and one of the benefits to that is that makes it pretty wildlife friendly. Wasn't that our experience along those lines, Rich?
Yeah, we had a spectacular sighting of a small herd of, I guess not a herd, but a small family of elk, cows and calves. That's pretty cool. Probably a dozen, 18 animals in total.
Yeah, and I mean,
you don't see that every day.
You don't see that every day, and I mean, what? We were probably within 100 yards of them.
Yeah, they didn't seem to care too much about us.
It was pretty cool. When we were walking up from the trailhead to the South Shore Trail, because we weren't quite sure if the two trails did join up. We had to see that in person, and I don't know, we were about a mile into the trail before we got to the South Shore Trail, and saw one elk up on the ridge. Went a little bit further, there was another. Next thing we know, there's like 3 elk, and as we were about to turn around, all of a sudden 2 calves jumped out, fawns, whatever they're called, and I mean, after all was said, there's a half a dozen baby elk, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Something like this. It was really neat. I've never seen anything
That
like
might have
that.
been more than a half a dozen.
Could have been.
A lot.
Could have been. It was pretty cool. So I think elk are fairly prevalent in the area, because when Jan Bennett and I did our initial scout of the area, on the north end of the loop, we saw a herd of adult elk at that time, and that was a large herd as well. So wildlife is definitely abundant there. So the way the route's going to work after we turn and go into that long canyon trail, like I said, I think it's a mile and a half of that double track. Goes by the neat KT boundary designation on there. Just lots of cool stuff to see along the way. And then we spill out really to our first gravel roads, and we start rolling out Long Canyon. There's an old abandoned settlement there on the left. You make a hard right, and that's our first uphill of any significance, right, Rich?
Yeah, that was an uphill. Right?
Talk about it honestly. Let's let folks know what to expect.
Well, there's some climbs on the route. I think in general, the overall route, they're not the punchy climbs that we find riding around Cook County, for example. They're more gradual, I think, in the grade, but you tend to grind a little bit longer on them.
Fair.
That's what I seem to recall. Of course, I was in a car. I wasn't in a bicycle, so I don't know. But
that one was maybe a mile of steady climbing.
Yeah.
And then you get to the top, and then what happens?
And then it was beautiful. Then you're on the top, and then as per usual, you give up some of that elevation you just fought so hard for, and slide on down the hill to do it again.
It was pretty fast and scenic downhill after that.
But it's pretty scenic from the top. I tell you, the scenery up there is breathtaking, but that's not a real high hurdle given the low density of oxygen there.
Oh,
That's the Cadillac Ranch.
Yeah, we just went by Cadillac Ranch. Been a while since I've been out here. I forgot it was even there. So all the folks gathered around. Yeah, we've done our bit. We've stopped by there with the kiddos and spray painted the cars. I'm guessing our artwork's been covered about 1,000 times over by now. So we roll out of the dirt roads, out of Long's Canyon, get on what do they call it?
Red Canyon?
Well, we go out there, we get on to Highway 12. I think they call it that, the Highway of Legends or something like that.
Right. Highway 12.
Catch a little bit of Highway 12, only like a quarter mile to the west, and then we go into another canyon road. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. That part I scouted on a previous trip, but the main thing Rich and I were wanting to sort out on this scouting trip, I had the longer route already primarily nailed down. We had to verify this South Shore Trail and how it hooked up with the Long Canyon Trail. And then what I really wanted to verify was for our shorter route, which is in the neighborhood of 100K, 65, 66 miles, somewhere like that. I needed to verify where it was a little bit shorter on the west end than the 100-mile route, and a little bit shorter on the east end. And those were the main things that Rich and I checked out. And I was really, really impressed with that. I'm going to call it the Spanish Peaks Inn loop.
Wow, yes. That loop was really quite something. There's some long runs down these long mountain canyons, again, with abundant wildlife present. And then some nice little climbs up a sidewall to get over to the next long mountain canyon. So that's pretty nice. But I tell you, the highlight of that loop, and I intend to do the 100K loop. The highlight of the 100K loop, I think, comes at about course mile 40 when we get back to that Spanish Peaks Inn. Because I'm telling you, that green chili burger with fries smothered in green chili cheese, green chili sauce, I'm going to be stopping for that. And I'm going to petition that green chili be the official food of Spinistry. And why shouldn't it be?
Maybe when we were in Colorado, it might be. And
The
maybe,
official Colorado food of Spinistry.
hey, maybe we'll figure out how to throw that into the mix for some other Spinistry chow dishes down the road. I'll get working on that recipe next. But yeah, the basically the way we scouted this the 100K loop, where it differentiated itself from the other routes, we started at another spot that, again, Jan Bennett and myself, we'd come across, but we didn't have time to stop last time. Spanish Peaks Inn, just outside of, what's that, Aguilar? Was that the name of the town? Something like that.
Yeah.
Near Aguilar, near the Ludlow Massacre Monument. Spanish Peaks Inn, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's just this little bar and grill. They have RV spots. They have, I guess, what you would call motel rooms. Looks like single wide trailers that they've turned into motel rooms of some sort.
Yeah.
Looked like really cozy and comfortable. But the food was amazing. It's a really unique bar, and it's right on the route, even for the 100K. It'll be on the route for the longer ride, the 100 milers as well. If anyone's doing the 50K, you won't make it to Spanish Peaks Inn. That said, the 50K route that we have is, if somebody's just needing to put their toe in the water for some Colorado adventure riding, get some really beautiful scenery, but not really up to taking on a big challenge. If you just want to get a taste for it, yeah, I think it's really worth your while to come out to the area and do the 33. I think it's a 33-mile loop on your bicycle, and just spend the weekend in the area. There's some beautiful scenery, some fantastic things to see. Coming out of Trinidad and heading up towards Salida, we kind of came across a nice little Easter egg of a breakfast joint.
The Weston Supply.
Weston Supply.
The general store in Weston, Colorado.
Rich,
Unbelievable.
Can you kind of paint a word picture for what Weston Supply was about, what it was like?
Well, first off, there's really no there in Weston, Colorado. But there's an old-looking white clapper general store / post office on the side of the road. And despite the fact it didn't have a lot of external signage, it looked like they served coffee, so we stopped to get a cup of coffee and go inside, and it's like stepping back in time to just this nice little general store with a deli counter in the back, which made us up we ordered up a couple nice breakfast platters, which they then smothered in the new official Spinistry food, green chili. And that was unbelievable. And we ended up chatting with owner Fred for a pretty good long time about his little business there and what he's got going on, his philosophy in life. And it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we stopped.
Yeah, we were just going there for a quick cup of coffee on our way up the road.
I think Fred needs to put a little bit more signage out, though, so people will know that good things lie inside.
We nailed down the Trinidad routes, like I said. They're some of the best routes we've ever had. They're solid. All the pieces came together even better than I was hoping. And it came together even quicker than I was hoping, so that gave us a little bit of bonus time. So we slid on up towards Salida, Ponca Springs, Monarch area. Our August events we're going to base out of the what do they call it?
Monarch Mountain Inn.
Monarch Mountain Inn. So it's an old ski lodge. They actually have a really good weekly rate, and so our Spinistry training week that kicks off August 18th, I think. I'd have to look at the calendar. I think it's 18th.
Sounds about right.
is the Sunday that we plan to do the Buena Vista ride. But the idea is, hey, you can get it's Monarch Mountain Lodge. That's what it's called. You can get a room at the Monarch Mountain Lodge for $420 for a week, and that's a double room. So if you find somebody to bunk up with, split those costs. But if we get 10 folks together, 10 rooms, I'm sorry. If we get 10 rooms together, they said they could probably knock something off that. So I'm hoping we can get to like $350 for the week. We wanted to go up, and that was actually the main thing we were wanting to scout. Yes, I want to scout some of the route, but the main thing I want to do is make sure that the hotel was a decent place to stay. But so we went to literally scout the hotel, the Monarch Mountain Lodge, to make sure it was worth your $59 a night or whatever it is at a weekly rate. And Rich, what's your opinion of the Monarch Mountain Lodge?
It's rustic. It's obviously been there a little while, but it's located, I think, centrally, and it'll be a good base ops for the things that we want to do that week. Yeah, I think it's great.
I think it's clean enough and comfortable enough.
Yeah.
Most of y'all probably saw that we announced a new partner this week. We're extremely excited by this. It's Bell's Brewing out of Michigan. Lots of cool things coming from Bell's, and they've got some really good beers. That said, our beer partner that kicked everything Spinistry off way back when is a Colorado brewery called Ska. And anybody that went to that first Red River Riot, you probably don't remember that keg of Ska Decadent that got knocked out in about 25 minutes. But that did make for a memorable weekend, and we've always been friends of Ska ever since, and they've been friends of ours. But Ska hasn't been in Texas in a few years, so I'll be honest with you. We're coming back into Texas, and I'm holding a bunch of Ska. So yeah, that's about as illegal as I get right now. But we are definitely looking forward to introducing folks to Bell's Brewing that haven't had that yet. I was introduced to it. That's really good stuff. And look, there's a cow. Who'd have thunk it? Another cow. More cows. And a grain elevator. It's a very unique part of the world up here. And I think that's enough commentary for the time being.